what he is going to be presenting on tonight. He's a humble guy, so he probably won't talk about himself too much, but he's been at the forefront of adaptive ice.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for having me, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm a little nervous. I'm always nervous at the beginning, but I'll chill out in a minute. But I've got a little slideshow here. Actually, I call it a slideshow. It's actually a PowerPoint, but I grew up in the day when we did slideshows and not PowerPoints. So hopefully you enjoy it. I was going to talk a little bit about myself, a couple of the organizations I work with, and then talk a little bit about some disability etiquette, which I think all of us can take a lesson in. It's an ongoing thing. And then move into some of the challenges that we've had adaptive climbing and some of the successes we've had in that. And then show you a video of a ascent that we did out in Yosemite with a friend of ours that has paraplegia, and then some questions and answers, and take a look at the gear. Sound cool? All right. Hopefully this works. I just finished this morning. So how did I get here? I started out many, many years ago guiding rock, ice, and mountains. And I guess it was around 2007, an organization called Paradox Sports came out, and they introduced me to this adaptive climbing thing. At that point, Paradox Sports had no clue what they were doing. There was no curriculum. We were just kind of figuring things out on the fly, and I found that really exciting. So I kind of dabbled in that and got really involved with it, and have continued on with that. My journey's been doing a bunch of work with veterans. People with disabilities is most of the work that I do now. We have our friend Neil here over next to me in the Hawaiian hat. You can see Andy Hershey peeking in from behind. This is what you look like after a long day of guiding. You're tired and your beard's frozen and there's ropes everywhere. And this is another fun event that I've been part of. This is our friend Adam in the CAF shirt. You'll see him a couple of times in here. Yeah, so we'll kind of move on. So Paradox Sports, they offer accessible climbing opportunities for people with differing abilities, defying the perception that people with a disability cannot lead a life of adventure. Basically, we do rock and ice climbing trips all over the country and occasionally out of the country. Really passionate about engaging and making sure that everybody that wants to be part of adaptive climbing gets to come out and be part of it. The biggest thing that I think that comes out of what we do is building a community, and the community that we build is really strong. We have some programs. We have what we call the ACI, which is where we travel around the country. Andy's one of the instructors for this, and we travel mostly to climbing gyms or outdoor facilities to talk with them about working with people with disabilities in a climbing aspect and how to work with people to get a climbing program going. We have some national programs. We'll be in the Gunks of New York next weekend, or next week during the week. We do ice up in New England at a variety of places from Rumney, New Hampshire, North Conway, New Hampshire, the Adirondacks. We also do ice out in Ouray, Colorado. We do a veterans trip to Yosemite every year, and those are our national programs. And in Colorado, where Paradox is based, we also have a bunch of local programs where they go out for the weekend and take people with disabilities climbing. So right now, the most current information, we've done 120 courses that we've taught. We've done 70 trips in 30 different states. Who's been to more than 30 states here? Anyone? Cool. So that's one of the organizations I work with. The other one's called No Barriers. Janelle also works with No Barriers, Andy's husband, or wife, sorry, backwards. And No Barriers was started by a guy named Eric Weinmayer. Eric Weinmayer is most well known for being the first blind guy to summit Everest. He went on to do the other 7 summits, the highest point on each continent. And a crazy thing about him was as he was coming down off of Everest after summiting, one of the guys that was out there with him looked at him and said, "Don't let this be the greatest thing that you've ever done or that you ever do." So he's gone on to kayak the Grand Canyon and then created this organization. The organization has a vision of making an exclusive world for all where barriers don't stand in the way of the possibilities that we have. And their mission is to provide transformative programs an experience that shifts the mindsets, create belonging and foster self-discovery to elevate individuals and their communities. There's that community word again, huh? We do programs with veterans. We're most known for our veteran program. That's where a lot of our trips run. We also have a caregivers program where we take people that are caring for often family members and creates an environment for them that they have to give up a big part of themselves, so we kind of give back to them. Adults with disabilities, this was a new program that we ran last year that was really cool. We brought people of a variety of disabilities together. Often, a lot of the programming that's done is blind participants or paraplegia, somebody with paraplegia or things like that. So we kind of brought in this whole group of people and they got to share this amazing experience. It was awesome. We do a lot of programming with youth, from inner city kids to kids of fallen veterans, also fallen first responders within that. We have an event once a year. We did not have it this year because of just didn't have the staff to make it happen this year, called the Summit. It's a big 3 or 4 day event depending on the year. And in that, we get people of all abilities out, and they do all kinds of crazy things. There's rock climbing, there's paddle boarding, there's almost anything outdoors that you would want to do probably will happen at one of the summits. I just got back from Colorado where we did a What's Your Everest, and we did it this year in Boulder, Colorado, and we took people of all abilities, did about a 2-mile hike up a trail right outside of Boulder, and got people to conquer their abilities and use some new equipment that's out there to help them enable them to be able to get up the mountain. And their motto is, "What's within you is stronger than what's in your way." So, and if anyone has questions, please feel free to just raise your hand or throw something. Some things I think are really important. I like to think about the power of we, involving collaboration. All of these events that we do involve a lot of collaboration, a lot of people coming together, a lot of organizations coming together. Together, we know more than I do. Andy called, I think he said, or in something that said that I was an expert. We don't like to think of in the field that there's any experts out there because we're still learning. There's a lot to still learn, we think. So. But how we do that is pulling lots of people together with lots of new ideas. This power of we helps create this sense of shared identity and belonging, which we think is important. And then this is one of my favorite quotes: "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit," and that was from Harry Truman. If you ever come out for one of our events, one of the Paradox events, one of the No Barriers events, people are just working their bottom off in all different directions. It all comes together. There's no, well, that isn't my job, this isn't. It's just this beautiful thing that everybody comes together and makes things happen. I did throw a non-climbing picture in here. Does anybody know the number of people in the United States that disclose that they have a disability that affects their daily life? Any thoughts? Throw out some numbers for me. 1 in 4. That is, yeah, you got it. You read my slide. 1 in 4, or 61 million people report that they have a disability that affects their daily life. Older women, older adults, American Indians, Alaska Natives, adults with lower income, and adults living in the South are more likely to disclose that they have a disability. This comes from the CDC. So there's lots of people out there, a fourth of it. So how many we have here? 30 or 40 people. So a fourth of us could have a disability that. So if you start looking at it that way, there's lots of it out there. So I came across this thing that I found really powerful, this idea of cultural humility. And it's this power of not knowing. All of us come from different populations. We can see different faces, different races, different sexes, different ages out there. And what cultural humility is this idea that we have to open up this conversation between us. I can't know everything about every culture out there, but it's not my job necessarily to understand every culture completely. It's also up to the other person on the other side to kind of open up and talk about what their needs are. We have to be open to getting feedback. One of the first Paradox courses I did, I was in the gunks and I said, hey, I'm going to run over to the handicap parking. And one of the participants said, we don't like to be called handicapped. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. And it just struck me in my head. I had forgotten about it. But there was that open line of conversation. I was open to saying, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have said that. He was open to saying that. I think if we can get to that, it opens up a lot of things for us to be able to understand other populations and work with other people. We're asking the other person from the other culture to help us understand, and most importantly, to let us know when we're in need of education. So I'm a believer in lifetime learning, that we always have the opportunity to learn. So what's going on? There we go. So I have a little video I'm going to play just about disability etiquette. Again, I think this is an important part of learning to work with people with disabilities.
Good morning, Bob.
Morning there, big man. Morning, Alice!
There's no need to be awkward.
Poor Bob. Like so many of us, he just doesn't know how to interact with people with disabilities.
It's pretty easy, really. People with disabilities are people first.
We need the same things that every person needs, like respect.
Good morning, everyone.
Attention! Okay. Maybe we need to be more specific.
The easiest way to show respect is to focus on the person, not the disability. It's okay. You'll get the hang of it.
One easy way to focus on the person is to watch the person signing and not their interpreter.
Or their companion.
It's really cool that you'd like to help, but do us both a favor and please ask me first. What you think might be helping?
I got you.
Wait, ah! Oh no, might actually not.
If you'd like to offer me help, let me hold on to your elbow. Don't take mine.
Hey, would you like to take my arm?
Sure.
Assistive devices help us to live our lives. They're really important and really personal.
Grabbing them only makes it weird for everyone.
What? Please only touch our devices and service animals if we... And don't take it personally if I ask you not to. Remember that my service animal helps me all the time. Neither of us would like it if we were separated.
Remember, we make our own decisions. We sign documents, vote, volunteer, work, and pay taxes.
We get married.
So don't address me just because I have a great smile.
Just because I'm blind.
May I help you?
Does not mean I'm deaf.
I don't know. I think he said he was going to come. Just because I'm deaf doesn't mean I'm blind.
And just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean that I can't sweep you off your feet.
So take a deep breath. Relax. We don't bite.
Unless we're really hungry.
Hello there, ladies. How are you?
Hello. And if you're not sure what to do, just ask.
Hi, would you still like to see a menu?
No thanks, but can you please read it to me?
Sure, definitely.
Just treat us the way you would want to be treated, and we'll all be okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Alice.
Morning.
Awkward no more. Nice job, Bob. Go forth and be human.
There's no need to be awkward.
So a little backstory on this. We used to do we still do. We do disability etiquette as part of our Paradox ACIs, and our participants would get really anxious about saying the wrong words or really just being overly cautious. And two of the participants in here were at one of our ACIs that we did, and they were like, we have the video that you have to play. I think it takes a little lighthearted look at some of the disability etiquette that I think is important. Some outdated language to talk about. The word handicap or handicapped, I know we see it everywhere, but the language is really outdated. There's some back and forth of how it actually, the word came into being. The most commonly accepted thing is that back after World War I, the veterans came back, they were handy with a cap because they were beggars. So when you hear it in that capacity, it's like, wow, I shouldn't use the word handicap. So we often say something like a person with a disability, use the term accessible. Differently able, special need. Somebody that they say has special needs, their needs are the same as all of ours. We need to eat, we need to drink, we need to breathe. It's not a special need. It just kind of puts them down is a way of looking at it in the community. So we also say a person with a disability. Crippled, we don't use that term anymore. We just say a person with a physical mobility or mobility disability. And then lastly, retard or retarded. Instead, we say a person with a cognitive disability. So you can kind of see that the second one's a little bit nicer. We talk a lot about what we call person-first language, where we see the person ahead of the disability. Using person-centered or person-first language means acknowledging the person ahead of their disability because they're more than their disability. It's in contrast to deficit-based language where we're using ableist misconceptions, assumed weaknesses about their medical conditions. So some examples that we might have is we might use a person with a disability rather than a disabled person or a handicapped person. We already talked about the handicapped word a little bit. Person who uses a wheelchair is how we would say it now versus someone's crippled or confined to a wheelchair. A person who is successful and productive versus someone who has overcome his or her disability and is courageous. It seems crazy, but you hear a lot of this out there. Everybody's probably heard things like that. So to throw everything out there has something that throws a little mix in there. There's also identity-first language. This type of language, we're putting the identity ahead of the disability because the people feel like that is more important, that you see their disability over their person. Some examples of this is the autistic community. They like to be known as an autistic child. The deaf community is really big on this. In fact, if you work with a large deaf population, they'll often say that you're the person with the disability because the deaf community, they can communicate, and you're the one, if you don't know sign language or the whatever type of language that they're using, you're the one that can't understand what's going on. And dwarfism, they're using that over using things like a person of short stature. So you have identity-first language, you have people-first language. How do you know which one to use? You got to ask the person. One of the things we really stress in a lot of our programming is the fact that we need to ask lots of questions in order to understand our participant. Assistive devices. I always like this one because you often hear the word wheelchair bound. None of our participants are ever bound to their wheelchair. They get up and out of it. They may need some help to transfer out of it, but they're not bound. And in fact, their wheelchair is actually something that gives them mobility. Otherwise, they would not be able to move around. So where a lot of people that are able-bodied think of it as this negative, it's actually a positive for them. Some of those assistive devices that we encounter are wheelchairs, prosthetics, walking sticks, canes. I'm going to move into some of the mindsets that we use now at Paradox, and I actually like to use it quite a bit in all of the work that I do, is this show me what you've got. So if we look over here, this young man's Gian. If we take a quick look at him, what's the first thing maybe everybody notices about him? No arms. Yeah. So it becomes really easy for us to focus on what he doesn't have, but the fact that he doesn't have any arms isn't going to help us get him up the wall. We got to look at what he has. So he's showing us what he's got. He's got 2 legs. His legs are what's going to propel him to get him up the wall. Over here we see Mark. Mark's an above-knee amputee. So it's easy to focus on the fact that he's missing the bottom half of his right leg, but that's not necessarily going to help us. The fact that he's got 2 strong arms and a good leg on the left side is what's going to help us. This becomes really important when we work with our participants, is making sure that we're kind of looking at what they have as strengths, because that's what's going to help us. What they don't have isn't going to help us. Partners, not passengers. You can see a couple of the good-looking dudes in the gunks. We like to get them in crazy outfits from time to time that passes on from trip to trip. But this idea of partners, not passengers, is we're going to empower our participants to be part of what we're doing. We like to talk about not having the circus ride. The circus ride when you get on and the guy comes up and he clips your belt and zoom, it goes, and he comes around, he unclips it, and you get off. You didn't have a big part in it. You got to do the ride, but you didn't really get to do anything beyond that. We like to empower our participants to do as much as they can. Teach them how to put on their harness. Teach them how to tie a figure 8. Teach them how to be as much a part of the system as we can. We had the guy back from the first slide, Neil, our blind friend who's since passed away. We took him to a climbing gym once, and he was about 3/4 of the way through the belay check, which is where you put on your harness and you have to tie a figure 8 to show that you know how to do it, before the young man that was giving him the belay test realized that he was blind. He was, all of a sudden he's like going like this, and Neil's just going away. So it kind of blows away some preconceived notions, right? It really changes the dynamic of the activity we feel. Andy was part of a trip that we did to the Gunks a couple of years ago. We had a participant that came out. He climbed, was injured, came back out climbing, and at the end of the trip, he gave us what I thought was the ultimate compliment. He said, "This wasn't a trip for people with disabilities. This was just a climbing trip." And I think that if we can transfer that over and make that how the participants feel at the end of it, we've done our job. So I think that's the last one on that. Strength versus weakness. What I think on this is a can-do attitude versus a can't-do attitude. So the easiest way that I've heard it explained that really makes sense to me is our friend Enoch that you'll see at the end of the video, or at the video towards the end. If Enoch's in his chair and he's rolling up to a door, Enoch's 40 plus years old. He's seen a door before. He knows how they work. If he's rolling up to the door and he hasn't asked for help, he probably doesn't need help. He's probably going to be able to get through it. If he's struggling because he's got a couple of helmets in his hand and a harness and whatever, he may ask for help, or you can say, "Hey, do I need help?" Versus just running up and running across the room and flying to open the door. You saw that in the video also, the young lady that was going through the door. When somebody helped her, it caused more problems. I really feel like this is something that we really need to work on, especially with this population, because for so long they've often been told that they can't do something, they can't do something, they can't do something, they can do something. So we think of this can-do attitude. The way they do it might look different than the way I do it or any of you would do it. Choosing appropriate words. One of the words that I've really tried to get out of my vocabulary is using the word easy with our participants, or even able-bodied people. Because if I tell you something's easy and you don't succeed, what have I told you? You suck, right? So use words like less challenging. This is a less challenging climb. This is slightly more challenging. That's the most challenging. They hear challenging, and it just changes that perspective on them a little bit. This I use a lot with our veterans, especially, is using the word anxiety versus fear, because when you talk to a veteran, they're not afraid of anything. They have no fears, or at least that's what they tell you. So if you say, "Hey, it's okay to be scared," they're not scared. They have anxiety, but they're not scared. So, kind of taking that out of there. Be careful with the word inspired and using that with somebody. It kind of falls into strength versus weakness. If one of our people with disability comes up and picks this up and they're like, "Heck yeah, you did a good job picking that up," what does that say? says that I don't give them very much credit for being able to do much. So I always like to say cheer when you would cheer for a regular person, your regular friends, and don't use that word inspired. Andy and I were down doing the Via Ferrata with our friend Neil, and I was trying to get some pictures, but we couldn't find any pictures of the Via Ferrata with him. And we stopped for lunch, and Neil, completely blind, no vision, he lost it because of a brain cancer. And he's eating his lunch, and somebody came up to him, and they were like, "You're so inspiring." And they left, and he's like, "I effing hate to hear that." Because it's kind of like saying, we've thrown out anything that you could do ability-wise, and the fact that you're out here is a great big giant thing. People don't want that for the most part in the people that we work with. To make matters worse, by the time we got back down to Seneca, everyone here's been to Seneca, right? The bustling metropolis that it is. We get back down there, and everybody in town already knew about the blind guy that did the Via Ferrata. So as he's coming in, all these people are saying things to him, and it just was attention that he didn't want. So just kind of keep that in mind when we're working with that. Coming in an adaptive guide. You get to do lots of crazy things. You get to be a unicorn sometimes. Have looks of terror when people come onto your back. I often say that the adaptive climbing world, if you're somebody that needs to operate in a black and white world, you're going to be challenged with adaptive climbing, because you can have two participants with the exact same diagnosis, and they're going to climb radically different. So we really look at this really individual approach to how we work with our people. Lots and lots of patience. Andy, what's the longest you've spent belaying somebody on? Probably hours on one person on one climb. So lots and lots of patience. If you work with people with TBIs, you'll get asked the same question time and time and time again, like back to back to back. I once had someone say, "You have a lot of patience." I'm like, at that point, my daughters were 2. I said, "I have twin 2-year-olds. They ask lots of questions. I'm used to it." Be there for the participant. Where this comes in is we'll often get volunteers that are out there. And all volunteers are great, but sometimes they're not out there for what we honestly need them for, or what the participant needs them for. And a story I like to tell with that is there's a person with paraplegia in a sit ski coming down the mountain, this look of absolute terror, having no fun on their face. But the guy who's managing the chair behind's having the time of his life. So whose needs were being met? So think about that when you're out there. Whose needs are being met? If your needs are being met by seeing people succeed in things that they maybe didn't think they'd be able to, you might make a really good adaptive guide. Be able to laugh at yourself. We have a lot of fun out there. I was going to cut the video on some of the little clips that I have coming up, but I decided to leave them on because I think some of the stuff that comes out is pretty funny, and I don't think any of it's too off color. So. Not too bad. So my idol growing up was a alpinist, or as I started, I shouldn't say growing up, as I started climbing was this alpinist named Alex Lowe. He was the greatest climber in the world. You would think that being the greatest climber in the world that he always succeeded. He always started his slideshows out with things that he had failed on. So I think, did we lose audio? No? Okay. So I thought it'd be cool to show some things that didn't work out. So we have these handlebar descenders that we build. The original ones were really narrow, and you're doing hundreds to thousands of pull-ups. This isn't real ergonomically friendly, right? An ascender is one of these little black things here that clip onto the rope, and they allow you to glide up the rope, but when you pull down, they lock on the rope. Yeah, thanks, Sandy. So I had this bright idea. I was like, man, if the little one works, we can go wider. Let's go super wide. So we made this monster one. It was double wide. It interfered with everything. It was like the bull in the china closet. It just didn't work. We also tried this. I had a friend of mine that has a machine shop work on building this super lightweight crampon. We thought that it would be great. It would really, we were doing it for our friend Mark, which you'll see in a minute. And we were like, this would be great. It's going to work perfectly. And poof, it didn't work. It flattened within like 100 feet. And then, I was like, well, only the people that are willing to dare, those willing to dare, God, I can't remember the quote. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. So, of course, Mark took the crampon home and sent that, and it's hanging on my wall over my desk to remind me of that every day. So, fortunately, we've had a lot of successes. This is a newer model of the crampon, which I have one that I brought here. One of the old challenges with the adaptive crampons is they used to weld this, and anytime you weld dissimilar metals together, you have lots of problems with it becoming really brittle. So we took a crampon that already had some holes in it. We got a plate specially modified for it. We had it all tapped out, so it's completely changeable in the field and works really well. We were also able to find a piece, this is called a pylon, which is adjustable, so we can kind of fine tune it for our participant. And I'm going to show you a little video of Mark moving up with it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the video I wanted to load, but this one you can kind of see how it works. This is in North Conway, New Hampshire. Unfortunately, we cut it there, and like I said, I couldn't get the other video to load as he was able to ascend the next section of ice. So Mark likes to climb on ice with his crampon right at the bottom of his residual limb, right here above his knee. Different people are going to climb different ways, so you kind of figure things out. He does what we call woodpeckering, where he takes that crampon and he just taps it in. It just gives him enough purchase that he's able to move and kick with his other foot to pull himself up. Another success that I felt like we've had is we went to the Travis Mills Foundation, which is up in Maine, and we reconfigured the bottom layer of the first level of their course so that a person that used a wheelchair would be able to manage it on their own. And I'll show you a little video of that. We also wanted to make the participant 100% in charge of all of their transfers, so we figured out how basically what would happen is they come over to the pole, there's a rope there, they use one of these mechanical ascenders, pull themselves up to the first level, and then they transfer their weight onto a pulley, and then they move around, and they have to keep doing transfers because the cables go and hit a pole, and you have to move around the pole kind of deal. This is one of the things that we came up with Enoch, kind of managing and moving through.
Good job, Enoch.
So that was super successful. It's a page and a half of really fine writing to show exactly what we need to do in order to make that happen, but that participant's able to continually move around. One of the things, Paradox came up with this name, not me, they call it the GDMA for Gary Dunn Mechanical Advantage and Handlebar Descender. We use a system, a block and tackle system that I came up with in order to get our paraplegics or our wheelchair users often to get up into the air. So we can set it up a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1. Each time it moves up, as far as the number, a 5-to-1 is easier. We're pulling less weight, but we got to pull it further in order to go up than a 2-to-1. Before that, we had this crazy system where to build a 1-to-1 system, you needed this set of gear. To build a 2-to-1 system, you needed a totally different set of gear, which was totally different than a 3-to-1, which was totally... So you had all this gear laying around. And we monkeyed around with it for a while to kind of come up with the system that ultimately worked. using the same equipment over and over and over. We also wanted it to be designed so that once our participant was up in the air, they never had to undo anything, because I didn't want somebody that's new to climbing up there trying to fiddle with the carabiner and trying to unlock something. You can see some of the progressions. This is one of the early handlebar descenders, one of the medium wide ones, not quite as wide. If you get a chance to come up here, they move in. This was the next generation. We did these for a while. This is what Enoch climbed El Cap with. This is what we've been using for quite a while, this purple one. And then we're messing around with some lighter weight aluminum to make it work. We're just trying to make sure that it's durable enough. So that one kind of is just traveling with me, but take a chance, take a look at those when you get a chance. Kind of showing one of our participants up there. Some design things that I was thinking of when I did it is I wanted it to be easy to remember and to use, to be efficient for the participant. There's a couple of ways of doing it. Our system is a lot more efficient than what a lot of the other facilities have been using. And we found that out from a participant in Chicago, a lady who was doing mechanical ascension a bunch to keep herself in shape. She came in, we got her set up, and she goes, "Where's the progress capture device?" Which is something like this. And I said, "Well, it's up at the top." And she goes, "Why is it up there?" I said, "Because it works better up there." She's like, "I'll be the judge of that." So she did her ascension up, and it was in a university, so I was able to go up on, they have the nice climbing wall with all the levels that come in. So I got up to the top level, and when she got up there, I said, "So how was that?" And she goes, "This works 100 times better." So that was what we wanted to hear. I wanted them to be really cost effective. I didn't want financial things to be a big hang up on people getting into adaptive climbing. The bars that I make and sell through Paradox, we sell for about $200 or $250 less than what the other ones on the market are. And we feel like ours are better by far. And like I said, we're constantly improving them there, working on them, trying to figure out lighter ways to make them work better. One of the improvements we just recently came up with, putting giant washers here. Had a participant that the rope rubbed up against his hand and created a little blister, and I was like, why don't we have bigger washers there? Sometimes simple things like that can make a really big difference in adaptive climbing. And then this is how easy our system is to work. This is just a little time lapse. This is my girls when they were 4, I think. Basically the two of them running the system and one going up in the air while the other one holds tension on the rope so that the ascender works the way it's supposed to. So super easy to work and to manage. All right, so next thing I'm going to show is a video that I was part of. We did a trip to Yosemite with a friend of ours named Enoch. Enoch came to Paradox and didn't say 2 words the first couple of days he was there, and we kind of found out that Enoch wanted to climb El Cap. He had, as he was growing up and going to school, he was bullied by a bunch of kids. He had one kid that was really friendly to him. This person went on to become a ranger on Mount Rainier and used to climb on Mount Rainier and also climb down in Yosemite. And Enoch decided he wanted to get up to the top of El Cap to see what his friend was seeing. Unfortunately, his friend was lost in a climbing accident. He was a ranger on a rescue mission and tragically passed away. So it made it even more impactful, I think, for Enoch. So this is about 10 minutes or so.
Morning. In the hour.
There was this bird with one leg. I realized that no one is ever going to tell that bird that it's what it does. Not knowing anything is different. I was born with spina bifida, which left me paralyzed from the waist down. Basically, I was born with a hole in my back, and the spine grew through it, and it pinched off my spinal cord. Then I spent 3 months in the hospital waiting to die. And then I didn't. I got into climbing through an organization called Paradox Sports that does human-powered outdoor activities. And I have a lifelong dream of climbing El Capitan. I met Sean through Paradox Sports. He has been helping me learn everything I need to know before I get there.
As a paraplegic, I empathize with other people working with obstacles. You know, Enoch's a chair user, he wants to climb. You know, I'm just like, anything I can do, bro, I'll help you out. Can you show me an example of a wood or not? Can you explain what it does?
Not really.
Yeah, and when you you call it a wood or not.
Okay.
All right, then get your butt in there. Climbing equipment is designed for able-bodied people. A disabled person often has to adapt equipment to less than perfect situations and go with that.
Yep.
We have a rope 30 feet up in a tree. We got 5 weeks. I'm just going to do my best to get him ready to climb rope when he shows up in Yosemite. Don't be tricked into El Capitan, you know, El Cap or bust.
Right.
You know, it's more important to succeed at a more manageable goal and develop your experience. Because El Cap do 70%,
60% fail.
More than half fail.
I think so. I think that's what it is.
And you're crippled.
I know.
On top of everything.
It's like 120%.
Yeah. Everybody who's crippled fails. No, but yeah, be prepared and stay hydrated. Take your ibuprofens or whatever.
Living in Yosemite has been a very accessible experience. The buses are really great. It's really easy to get around, other than I've lived in a makeshift tent with stairs in front of it. I had some trouble in the beginning not knowing people and not knowing who to ask to help me and not knowing where to go and that kind of thing, but now I've met people, I've made friends, and should be ready to go.
An able-bodied climber might have 5 or 10 years experience before they go to El Capitan, where Enoch, he's got a few climbs under his belt. A disabled person can be much more in a vacuum, so it's really weird psychologically.
Can't hold everybody the same standard. I understand that, but like Sean, you know, he's figured out a lot of his stuff on his, you know, on his own.
I definitely don't know a lot of the stuff I need to know.
I think a lot of people had trepidation about whether or not Enoch was actually ready to climb El Cap.
So we'll do something like shorter, less committing. Let's have you learn how to be up on the wall. Have you learn how all these systems work.
I realized that I was going to have to take on additional roles of not only filming and documenting the story, but helping them get up El Cap.
It's really difficult to rely on other people to manage everything for you when you don't know anyone and you don't know the logistics of getting it done.
And it seems daunting, because it is. It's not just a big wall, which is already daunting enough. It's a big wall with Enoch, who's this climber who happens to have spina bifida. And it's a really unique, special experience, and it takes a unique, special person who wants to buy in for extra hard.
It's tough because you don't have control over it. You're pretty much at their mercy for everything. We need at least 5 people to carry me in, and all the equipment and all the haul bags, and then 5 more people. So it's a huge, huge undertaking. climbing a route on El Cap. I realized there was a lot I didn't know about climbing a big wall. The goal changed over time, and I ended up doing Astroman on Washington Column.
Man, I'll show you out any day.
When I first heard of this plan, it seemed kind of daunting to get Enoch into the base of the climb and all the logistics of it, and it wasn't that hard.
Well, I'm about to start up Astroman. I don't know, it's just awesome. Oh, people that have helped me. Pretty cool.
First pull up.
Got a good lesson in what it's like to live on a portaledge last night.
Says a lot about his spirit, in order to, not only come up here, but to push himself as far as he has. Says a lot about who he is in here. And so what if he can't feel his legs? He's got some massive, massive arms and a big old heart to carry him as high as he needs to go.
This trip ended up being not what I wanted, but what I needed. I found people that didn't treat me like I was in a wheelchair. I found people that told me what I needed to hear and weren't worried about if it was going to hurt my feelings, because that's what needed to be said. Now I've done most of the things that would happen on a big wall over time, and I have an idea of what needs to be done over the next year for when I come back and I actually do a route on El Cap.
Yeah, just don't give up, Enoch. You got that strength, you got the physical strength, the mental strength. You have it all. You have what it takes to do a wall. Now it's just up to you to just keep pushing forward. And if you need a climbing partner, let me know. I'll be right there.
I would say the one thing I'm looking forward to is proving to everyone that said I couldn't do it, that I can.
Enoch has been out to Yosemite. He went out there planning to climb El Capitan. That didn't happen. We got a lot of details to get worked out. With that experience, he's going back to Yosemite. It's not realistic to expect the mission to succeed. What is realistic is to give it your best shot. Many things can go wrong. Many of those are out of your control. It doesn't even matter if you make the top. You're going back there to make the assault. That's the great privilege to be at the base. That's just let it play out. And however it plays out is a beautiful thing. Climbing experience, everybody's given about the same amount. But if you're part of a disabled team, you got to be ready to give 110%.
Since the get-go, I had a very strong attachment to this project. I knew right off the bat, I have to do this. I want to be part of this. Feeling pretty motivated to get up there, It's really freaking good to be back with everybody.
To me, this was like an opportunity to see another side of climbing, to see people give everything they have to help someone else realize their dream.
I met Enoch a few years ago at a Paradox Skunks event in New Paltz, New York, and was out there for one of Enoch's first days of climbing. Just wanted to be part of the team to help him reach one of his dreams of climbing El Cap.
It's part of adaptive climbing is adapting the gear so it works for us.
In order to get Enoch here to there, we're asking a lot of people to do something they otherwise probably wouldn't want to do. We're just gonna have to ask around and see who, out of the kindness of their heart, is willing to step out and come forth.
I think in an ideal world, yeah, we have at least 8 people coming in to help carry.
I don't have any doubt. No doubt. 'Cause I'm just a girl. Oh, what's my destiny? Oh, I've succumbed to what's making me dumb. Oh, I've had it up to here.
You have 4 more people to help right there. Simply asking and relying on friends.
It took a massive amount of people to pull this experience off. And before I came here, I didn't realize it would take that many people. I'm nervous, but I'll be all right. It's just dragging a rope.
You have a good, strong team. You'll do it.
I feel like El Cap is the ultimate metaphor for doing something that has no practical application, except that if you work together and you stay safe,
Thank you.
that nothing else can really hurt you. You got the sun, the moon, stars. It's a reason to stay alive.
Look at that. Made that crux look easy.
Woo! Second day. So,
yes,
we are basically officially at the point of no return.
I know.
So what that means
is rappel or go. Last year when I was on the portal edge, I didn't know what to expect and I wasn't really all that prepared. It's going a lot smoother this year. My arms are definitely sore, but they're not sore enough to stop me. I don't know, I feel pretty weak and sick. I don't want to stop, but I don't want to get up there and then want to stop.
This is the make or break moment. Once we get above this, like there's no going back that way.
Well, I don't want to quit, but I don't want to put us all in a situation where it's way more complicated to get down.
I just need you to be, honest with yourself. And if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. Up or down?
I don't know. We're going up.
Going up.
It's good that I'm able to belay because then it frees up another team member to do other things while Christian's up there setting the ropes. I'm getting the hang of it. Luckily for Christian.
Enoch, I don't know what you did, but yeah, you definitely flipped a switch today. And you've been like fierce and nonstop. Like literally ever since then, you haven't hesitated.
I think I was only thinking about bailing because I knew I could, and now I can't, so now I'm not thinking about it. But getting past that was really difficult. You think about all the things, like, what if I can't make it? I should bail right now. Oh, I definitely want to keep going up. We're gonna do this.
2 more days, and it's gonna be a battle.
Let's go have an adventure. Have we seriously been up here for 4 days?
Yes.
And here you are. You're up on a freaking wall.
It's still almost kicking.
Still almost kicking.
Just one more pitch and we're at the very, very top.
A year ago, I didn't think this was going to happen. Now I'm going to do it.
Well, I think a lot of times when I climb, I get quiet. And the smaller problems of daily life seem so dreamlike. Climbing, it's all immediate. You know, you're thinking about what has to happen right now.
You got some progress. It's gonna be hard.
I gotta make the next 5 feet.
There you go. Nice, 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 nice.
I can't go 5 feet unless I go 1 foot.
It's just not over.
I can't go a foot unless I go an inch.
Thank you so much.
What are some things that you think you're gonna take away from this?
The memories of working with you guys and becoming closer as time went on.
Come on. This is the 3,000th pull-up.
This is the 3,000th right here.
1, 2, 3. You're topping out El Cap right now. There it is. There it is. There it is. Yes!
The challenging part of climbing El Cap is that it hurts. That's a way of confronting what life is all about.
Welcome, dude. Oh, come here. Woo! How good is it, man?
I feel that my heart was there the whole time. It felt good to like work so hard for someone else.
He's letting go of a lot, but I think when you're in good company, then the rest is just having a good time.
People see, realize that there's no such thing as impossible. You just need to ask for help.
Slowly but surely, we're making our way down.
Well, that community of big wall climbers they rally.
Just be really careful. 1, 2, 3.
They understand that life is fragile and that it takes sort of support to do these things.
You climb the mountain to come down and climb more mountains. If you can inspire somebody along the way, really that's all that matters.
You stuck with it today.
No, you guys definitely stuck with it.
Dude,
That was.
we didn't have a choice.
Neither did I. I was tied down.
You were restrained.
What'd you guys think of that, and gals? Pretty cool, huh? Terrifying? Yeah. Cool. I just wanted to show a couple of things that are on the horizon, adaptive-wise, that I'm involved in. In October, our friend Adam, that was in one of the earlier pictures, he has ataxia. We're going to go climb a big wall with him and try to get a film out of that. We've had somebody step up to do all the editing on it for free because we basically have no budget to make this happen. And it's crazy, even with, we've got 5 guides going out there with all of us volunteering our time. It's still a 10 grand operation to get us all there, and transportation and everything like that. So it's crazy how money adds up quick. Working on some adaptive tree climbing. You saw my daughters do a little bit of something with some adaptive tree climbing. And one of the cool things is we've actually got a system that we figured out. We just need to write up all the paperwork on it. So you could send 2 wheelchair athletes out there. They could set all the ropes up on their own and be able to climb on their own without needing an able-bodied person, which is huge as far as a piece of empowerment. Enoch now wants to do Rainier. We're trying to figure out how to make that happen. And we're working on a system for crack climbing for sit climbers. They've gotten tired of just doing pull-ups and they want to interact with the rock, which I can't blame them on, or blame them for. So we're working on a system to make that a little more user-friendly. And then this is just kind of some of the crazy humor that happens. This is David. He is tree climbing. I never thought that our wheelchair athletes would get such a big kick out of tree climbing, but if you think about somebody that's used a chair for a huge portion of their life, if not their entire life, they probably never thought they'd have the opportunity to climb a tree. I go up once a year to a big hospital up there and do a climbing event, and I bring my tree climbing stuff, and all of our buddies that are there, it can be raining, it can be nasty, whatever. They're like, are we going tree climbing afterwards? So we go out, and this is David on one of his first tree climbs.
There's a lot of faith in this branch here, fellas.
It hasn't broken yet. Hey, be happy. We sent Carlos up first. He was the guinea pig.
I know. God bless you, buddy. Thanks. All right, Nate, watch that chair, please, buddy. I'm gonna kick it.
Watching it. What are you, a yo-yo? What are you, bobbing?
Come on, David, crank that. I'm gonna be here all day.
So, what questions do you all have? Yeah. So if someone wanted to get into this, what was like the initial cost? Find somebody that's doing a Paradox ACI, get into a gym that's doing one. Hershey, or any coming up here at the college potentially? Gary and I are going to talk. We're going to probably in the winter or spring put together an ACI and the adaptive climbing initiative courses here. Either we do some classes and stuff, and then either on a super drop or yeah, I mean, most of the equipment, the facility purchases, so you just need your basic gear, but and then there's lots of grants out there. If you're a really good grant writer, you can find grants for more public programs versus like with Adam, they don't want to just fund an individual going out to climb kind of deal. What else? I've got lots of gear up here. You're welcome to come up and take a look. But otherwise, thank you for putting up with me for an hour, and thanks for coming out.